Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining our broadcast. I'm Brittany Covich, Communications Manager with the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, and Jim Branham, our Executive Officer, is here. And we're here to talk today a little bit about a pretty important topic, about the importance of our Sierra Nevada forests for California's climate goals, which is going to be a topic at our upcoming summit on March 7th in Sacramento. So, Jim, let's talk a little bit about why healthy forests are so important for our climate goals.
Sure. Thanks, Brittany, and hello out there. And just so you know, in case you notice, we're fighting the fight for our forest out here. So, sometimes you end up on the wrong side of a tree. But
here I thought you got in a fight with somebody who said that California's water comes from the Delta.
Oh, no, they would have looked like this if that was the case. But anyway, something to do with grandkids. So nonetheless, so we're going to be getting together next week at our annual WIP Summit on Wednesday, March 7th, to talk about forest and talk about the issues going on with the forest. And, for those of us that work in this area, I suppose it's obvious, but I think it's important to note how important healthy forests are, not just for the reasons that might be easy to understand around recreation and enjoying the forest and so on. They're important to our water supply, right, to our watershed. They're important to habitat values that are essential for our species out there. And they're also important from the role they play when healthy of absorbing carbon dioxide from the air and storing it as carbon. This is critically important as California deals with some of the challenges of climate change, as we are looking at what are all the things we can do to make our state healthy, and that we can continue to be a leader in terms of these issues around climate. And healthy, right now our forests aren't healthy. Many of our forests are unhealthy, and that's basically a result of having too many trees and too many small trees and excess vegetation that does not reflect what would have historically been in the Sierra Nevada forest. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but the key point is there's something we can do about that. There's something we can do about removing the excess vegetation, make those forests healthy and resilient. And despite what you might hear on some public relation campaigns, there is too much fuel in the forest, and it is fuel. It will burn, whether it's dead or alive, under the wrong conditions. So healthy forests are critical in a whole range of reasons, and next week we'll be talking about that.
Right. So we picked this topic kind of for a reason. There's a lot of discussions happening right now around climate change and how California can meet its greenhouse gas reduction goals. So can you talk a little bit about why we chose this particular topic for the summit? Yeah.
When you look at what's been going on in our forests in the Sierra Nevada over the last few years, what you see are large mega fires, starting really with 2013's Rim Fire, the largest in the recorded history of the Sierra Nevada. Then we had King Fire, we've had Butte Fire, we've had Rough Fire, and so on. So significant amount of fire. In fact, this decade we set the record on the western slope of the Sierra, not a record we're proud of the most acres burned in wildfire, and we've got 2 years to go. But we also have seen well over 100 million trees in the Sierra, 129 million statewide, die from tree mortality, basically pest induced mortality as a result of drought. So when you realize what's been going on and realize that we've really moved from a net sequesterer of carbon, taking more in than we're emitting, to net emitters, you understand discussions around AB 32 and the scoping plan, which is California's climate program, and the goals that are associated with that are critical and dependent upon healthy forest. And right now, the state is in the process of reviewing or updating, I should say, the AB 32 scoping plan. Mm-hmm. We're soon to see a California Forest Carbon Plan, which is really talking about the roles forests should be and can be playing. A lot of activity in the legislature right now. Last year's fires really caused kind of a renewed interest and focus. Right. And the governor, in his state of the state, really called out this important issue. So the timing's important right now. We have an opportunity to do some things we need to do to get our forest back to a healthier and more resilient condition. So we feel like we're landing in Sacramento next week with this summit at kind of just the right time in many ways.
Perfect. That's perfect. And next week at the summit, we'll be talking a little bit more about some of those things that we can do to kind of protect our forests in the face of some of these disturbances that are occurring. And then we'll also have some speakers that will be joining us that will be talking a little bit about how the Watershed Improvement Program can really be the program that can help California reach its climate goals, reach its greenhouse gas reduction goals in the Sierra Nevada. So do you want to talk a little bit about those speakers?
Sure. So we'll be joined by CAL FIRE Chief Ken Pimlott, who will really talk about what I think we all believe is the new normal in California, which are extensive fire seasons that are really creating new challenges, different challenges. We're seeing fires that are behaving in ways that we have not seen before, particularly all over the state, but particularly in the Sierra Nevada. So Chief Pimlott will talk about kind of what that means in the context of CAL FIRE's efforts and how the Watershed Improvement Program and efforts like it are really critical. Again, back to the fundamental point of making our forest healthy and resilient again, so that there is a better opportunity to avoid the kinds of fires we've been seeing in California. The Deputy Secretary for Cal EPA, Ashley Conrad Sadaw, will talk about, as I mentioned earlier, the AB 32 scoping plan, the forest carbon plan, these statewide efforts, policies, and how the Watershed Improvement Program can play a critical role in achieving those goals and objectives. So those, I think, will be very interesting discussions around kind of very contemporary issues going on that the state of California is coming to grips with. And of course, we're joined always at the summit by our federal partners and the co-partner in the Watershed Improvement Program, the U.S. Forest Service. They play such a critical role. And I think at times the state policymakers maybe don't realize how critical those federally managed lands are to achieving our outcomes.
Absolutely.
So it's really good to have them at the table, really good to understand these are our forests. And if we keep pretending like the lines on the map or the color on the map matter, we're going to continue to see the kind of things we've seen, the kind of outcomes, which is not where we want to be.
That's perfect. And we'll be hearing a little bit more from the Tahoe National Forest about some of the activities that they are doing on the ground that can really kind of move us in the direction of more stable carbon storage.
Right. Yeah, Ellie Alano, the forest supervisor on the Tahoe National Forest, will be joining us. And the Tahoe has really taken the Watershed Improvement Program to heart. They've really looked at their forest differently because of the WIP, and I think you'll hear Ellie talk about that. And they're really kind of putting it on the ground. So we're certainly not waiting for this summit to get work done. Work's happening all over the Sierra Nevada, and this will be a really good opportunity to learn how at least one national forest, again, a critical piece of the Sierra Nevada landscape, is really trying to do business differently, to test new ways of doing business, all again towards the goal of making our forest healthy and more resilient.
That's perfect. So if you're just joining us, Jim and I have been talking a little bit about what to expect at our Sierra Nevada Watershed Improvement Program Summit next Wednesday, March 7th. It's going to be held in Sacramento. Just a heads up, we are very nearly at capacity for that event. So if you haven't RSVP'd and you're hoping to be there in person, please RSVP soon. And if you are not able to join us in person, but you do want to follow all of the conversations that we'll be having on that day, you can watch the broadcast live. We'll have the link posted on the restorethesierra.org website. You can go there the day of and watch all of the speakers that Jim and I were just discussing, talk about all of these important topics. So don't forget, if you like what you saw today, please share the video, turn on your notifications. We will be going live again next week, right before the summit starts. A few of our speakers have agreed to join us and have a little dialogue before the summit actually kicks off.
Kind of like a pre-Oscar thing,
yes.
A red carpet.
Yes, the red carpet discussion.
Okay.
That's right.
So that's what we'll be doing. So you don't want to miss that. That's where the best stuff comes out.
Yes, definitely. And if you have questions or comments related to some of the things that Jim and I were talking about today, or related to some of the things that we'll be talking about at the summit, please add them in the comments below this video. Again, if you liked what you saw, if you liked what you heard, if you're interested in learning more, share the video, and be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, because we will be kind of putting a bunch of information out over the next week or so as we get ready for the summit. So, any final thoughts, Jim?
Only you don't want to miss this, so please plan on tuning in. Go and poke around the restorethesierra.org website. There's a lot of good information there that kind of your homework before the summit, if you will, but it'll maybe put a few of the things we're talking about there in context. So again, look forward to seeing you one way or the other, either in person or out there, and That's it, I think, Brittany.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, everybody, for joining
Thanks.
us. See you next week.